Suspiria. Huh, okay. What do I think about this movie? I don't quite know. I don't know if I like it or if I hate it, but as I talk about it, I'm gonna gather an opinion. How to describe this movie? It's basically about Dakota Johnson, who you know as Anastasia Steele, from the 50 Shades of Grey movies, and you might know her from The Bigger Splash, also with Tilda Swinton. I'll get to Tilda Swinton in a moment. You might know her from a couple other things, but Dakota Johnson's character in here goes to this ballet school, which is run by Tilda Swinton, who has seen these shows being performed and has seen her perform many, many times, forever. And she finally decides, well, I want to be a part of this show. I want to know what goes on. I just want to be a part of this because I've seen it for so long and I think I can do it. That's the best way to describe this movie. It's a graphic movie. It's a very graphic movie, and I mean nudity-wise and violence and gore-wise. This is a very different movie. This movie is not for the faint at heart. This movie is not for some weak-stomached people. If you can't handle seeing heads explode and do I even want to say it? No. Heads explode is as far as I'm going to go. It's a very trippy movie also, but I like how they did it. Dakota Johnson gives the performance of her career. She was good as Anastasia Steele, or in the third film, 50 Shades Freed, Anastasia Gray. Tilda Swinton, who I knew as the White Queen from the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was a film that I grew up watching and actually saw that film in theaters. And it was really good. It still holds up to this day, except for the bad CGI for 2006, which we all thought was amazing until Avatar came out. Tilda Swinton gives one hell of a performance in here, but the one I want to talk about is Mia Goth. Mia Goth gives the best performance in this entire movie. She doesn't have much to do for the beginning portion, but when you get to the meat of what her character has to do and what her character does in the movie and what it stands for, it's a very powerful and gutsy performance that I did not think she would be able to pull off. I know Mia Goth from A Cure for Wellness. I liked that movie fine. I even gave it a pretty positive review. And she was amazing in that, as was Dane DeHaan, who I do not like. She gives a better performance than everybody, to me, basically because you're not expecting much from her. You've only seen her in maybe one big film that you can pinpoint saying, oh yeah, I saw this, and she was in it. Dakota Johnson, you're like, this. Tilda Swinton, you're like, oh yeah, Chronicles of Narnia, this. But Mia Goth, she's a newcomer to the acting scene, the mainstream acting scene anyways. If you've seen some of her independent work, then fine. I've seen a little bit of her independent work. Nothing compares to this performance. How graphic does this movie get? It gets pretty gory and pretty bloody. Black hearts. There's some ritualistic content in here that has to do with a certain person down there, which I do not support, but it was handled very well, and they don't automatically say that this is the devil, but it's like a demon, Satan-looking thing. And those effects were done pretty well. I don't know if those were practical effects, but if those were practical effects, good lord, that was very well done. the more I'm talking about this movie, the more it's becoming a masterpiece that I'm never going to watch again. It unsettled me to my core. It just disturbed me to my core. If you are not a fan of these types of horror movies, and there is some imagery in here that will stay with you. There's some imagery that will just smack you across the face, get in your brain, and stay with you for a while. If you're not a film fan. If you are a film fan, you've seen stuff like this before, but not this much. And at 2 hours and 30 minutes, the director, Luca Guadagnino, wow, his direction is beautiful and a master class of directing. I will never watch the movie again, but I respect that this is a masterpiece that many people will buy on Blu-ray and watch and show in film classes to be like, hey, you can go graphic. You can be this, but when you do it this well, everything about this movie is perfect to a T. There was one thing I would have taken out of it, and that's 5-10 minutes out of the movie that I felt didn't really feel needed. But otherwise than that, it's a complete masterpiece. I give Suspiria an A. Not an A+, basically because I felt like you could have shaved off a good 5-10 minutes. If you are one of those people who does not sit all the way through the end credits, it's 2 hours and 27 minutes. It's a long sit, but you need to give this film your full-on attention or else you will miss this. You'll miss some plot elements. Why? Because this is not an English film all the way through. You got over half the film that is spoken in German and French. And this can't be called a foreign language film because there's still some English in there. But there is a good over half of the film that is in a foreign language and has English subtitles right here telling you what is being said and translated into English. So you need to really pay attention to it. I give Suspiria an A. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.